Hey guys, welcome back to iNVision Prototypes. I'm Nick. Today we're going to try and finish up the exterior skin of this roof for the afterburner build. We have to tweak the panels a little bit because if you notice, maybe not, but I'll bring you in, some of the panels aren't sitting quite where they need to be. So we'll tweak them with the English wheel, then we'll go ahead and start rolling all the flanges so that they're made up with a structure that we'll create later. Right now, main goal is to get this exterior skin done, joined together on some screws. Okay, so if you notice this back section here ahead of the rear glass, it actually dives down towards the front. So that means we have to take and wheel that front up, stretch it a bit so that it comes up. And then we'll start rolling the flanges around the rear glass. This one here, this flange here, we can't roll that until we get the drivers done, and then to make a template off of that, transfer it onto this side because we don't have a buck on this side. The front, not too bad. Little bit of a wow there. But we could probably do the same thing there too. Take and wheel up this back section, raise it up, that'll come down, and it'll flow in to the back. Something there. I don't know if you guys could hear that. You don't want any garbage between your anvils. Might be really small, but they sound like boulders, like you're crunching boulders. That's better. I just want to bring it up a little bit. Much better. Now we wash it out. And by washing, I mean blending. Blend it in with the surrounding areas. Ooh. That's it. I'm going to change out the upper wheel for one with a sharper edge because we don't want a radius corner meeting up with the glass. We want something that comes in nice and tight. Like that. You might notice we got the woodworking tools out. We're creating some hammer forms for another project. Alright, so what we have here is the passenger side sail panel. This is the exterior passenger side. These are the initial marks I made off the template, which were kind of arbitrary. These, or this mark here, is based on the buck, what we have there around the rear window. That's what I need to go by. Okay, so in terms of bending this over, I can't really run on that blue line. I need to move inward a little bit where that rod was and have the bend happen there. So if I take this piece of rod here, the rod sat there, I need to tip on the inside edge of that blue line. Now we're going to get some strange things happening because I'm going to work the entire window flange in at one time. So the drop down and then the step in that the glass sits on all has to happen in this piece. Okay, let's push this over. not too bad. You can see the sail panel sits there. This is shooting off at that angle. We actually have to drop downward. The other problem is this area through here, we have to stretch this material to allow that to come down. And then when we do the final flange rolling upward, we need to shrink the very edge of this material. It's all about stretching and shrinking and moving material around. To where you need it to be. Okay, we're getting really close. I might take the rest of that over with the slapper because I can't roll up against the wheel anymore. Now you see this corner, it's pulling the top way down, the wrong shape. So we can either go into the English wheel and stretch that, or just use our kick shrinker and open it up. Still using this old stretcher. We had a little discussion about that earlier. New one did come in the mail, but might as well use this to the end. Still works, as long as you keep adding shims there. See, smooth that right out. Let's see how this looks. It's not bad. This is in the way. Just let that sit there. Well, that ain't too bad. We're extending past the back there, so I'll trim that leg up. This bottom piece for the glass will tie into here. Just take that corner out. There we are. So, that'll stay there? Nope. I'll clamp this and I'll bring you in from the other side, show you what's going on. A couple of things happening in the sail panel itself. We'll take care of that after. But you see that flange? It's actually on diagonal. The top corner over there, that has to be stretched out a little bit more. See how that's been brought down? We're going to have to stretch this area to bring that back up. Because of the radius, we're having kind of a difficult time to get it in. So, I push a little bit more and we'll wheel it out. So that's going to be the first piece. We'll get a little clamp on there. We're going to tip this along the blue line, take and cut away because you notice it kind of grows there and here in width. We'll take and make a consistent 3/4 of an inch, and we'll also do a 3/4, maybe 1 inch flange around here so that this part engages with the structure that we'll create later. Then we'll pull a template off of this side and tip that side. You can use masking tape to extend an edge. You can use a kind of a scribe, like a compass scribe. Just focusing on this. Sometimes it's a little hard to talk and wheel at the same time. Okay, so that's the beginnings of the rear section there. That came out quite nice. We'll take and scribe that to probably that width, what I have here. Cut that away, and same thing there. Actually, just looking at this, we're supposed to come down and in to pick up the glass. I messed up. Not a problem. We'll flatten that back out, flatten this back out, slide the whole sheet rearward, giving us enough room at the back, minimizing what we have here because we have too much, no sense cutting it away, and retip it. Okay, let's open that up a little bit. No big deal. Just flatten that out. See, we didn't go crazy and start bending the complete flange. We just started it. and we're fixing it. And except for a very small, tall telltale sign of an indication of a bend, it's flat. So we'll do the same thing over here. Back it off. Flatten it out. You don't have to throw the panel out and start again. You can always fix it. If you cut too much off, well, you can weld more on. Okay, let's get this back up on the roof, rescribe it, and do this again. Take two. And we can cut a lot of the material off the back because we've got almost 2 inches. It's 1 3/4 inches. So. Okay, so that's the new back edge, which is much better.
With the holiday season coming up, don't forget to get your orders in for these cuttings for your significant others and make fantastic earrings or decorations on your holiday trees, Christmas trees.
Okay, let's cut off this flange. Then we'll take a template for that side there. Could use a shear, but it's a bit tricky to get in here. And 20 gauge isn't too bad to cut. When you get it to 18, it's a little trickier. Okay, that's looking good. A little bit of a man-eater there. And they get pretty sharp in there. And it's just because of the radius. So we'll get that cleaned up later. Right now, I want to pull a template off of this and transpose it over there. Not too bad. Now we need a center line. Coming from here. Where'd they go? Ah. But I don't know if that's going to show up too well. I'm going to put a bit of ink into the bottom here, into the root. Good. Takes it one step above the dirty finger method. It's called the inking method. We have a center line here. It's almost transparent, but not quite. It worked. So we have our lines, we'll cut this out, transpose it onto that side, mark it, and tip that side. Just aim and cut. Okay. Let's go tip this. Like this side, we're going to take and cut away everything about 3/4 of an inch and finish tipping the rest of this material upward. Kind of finalize the panels. I'm not sure if we're going to start the returns just yet, because I need to get the panels all sitting nice up on the buck and the area without the buck before we roll the second leg. Once we roll the second leg, it essentially locks the panel in place. Here's not an issue because it just rolls down, but the back, I have to make sure this back curvature is spot on. Okay, home stretch for this panel. So there we have our back leg. And again, we have to tweak it a bit. A lot of tweaking. That's the name of the game, guys. So we're getting the same thing in this radius. You have to pull the material around. So we got to stretch that, work that in. I do everything in stages. If I'm running flanges like this, I'll run flanges. If I'm cleaning up panels, I'm cleaning up panels. I find it to be more efficient that way. If I'm focused on one panel for one whole day, and then I need to make a small correction somewhere, I kind of wasted that day. I rough the whole roof in, get the shape in, you know, then if I need to make a little correction somewhere, it's not that bad to do. But if you've roughed in the whole panel, finished all the flanges, made it all pretty, threw up a picture on the gram, and then, oh shoot, I should have done it a little bit over here this way, you have to undo what you did. Now some of you have been asking about our slappers. I've got this one here, I've got a few other ones. I've got this behemoth here, and they started out as 3/4 ton or 1 ton truck springs. You can use any spring you want really, but that's what they started out as, and made them years and years ago, and they've held up pretty well. This one here, it had an unfortunate accident. It actually broke. Normally if you have a hole like that, they'll break through the hole, but it's just a lot of impact, and this thing has done a lot of work. From time to time I'll clean them up, but they're holding up pretty well. This one has a bit of a more convex shape to it. This is a lot flatter, and just to get your fingers in, the handle is tipped up a little bit more. This one is for a larger area, to work a larger area. Sometimes I'll work both against each other, but these are two of my favorite slappers right here. I'm stretching the top edge more so than the bottom. I don't want to mess up this radius through here. So I'm just allowing it to stretch at the top, settle down. Switch to this hammer because this one, the face was too wide. I like to work off a wooden top because it doesn't mar up my exterior surface. It's nice and soft, relatively speaking. Okay, it's going to come up like that, and that'll blend in with the front section. Yeah. Okay, one issue we're having is on the far side. I need to bring that down. You see it's over and past the rod. So let's make that adjustment and we'll move on to the front piece. Yeah, so that's gonna sit right there. Cut that. Once that settles down, we can bend it where we need to. Cut that off there. Now sometimes, if I've developed a wireframe buck out of material that's more substantial than say this, I'll actually use the wireframe as a hammer form. If you have a wooden buck, I wouldn't recommend it, but say around a wheel arch or something, I'll roll a rod, get it in, and I'll use that as a hammer form instead of using a tipping wheel or anything else. And it works out quite well. In this case, it's only 1/4 inch, so not too great to do that. Now, this back leg here, once that rolls down, that'll settle in. Because you can see it's off the buck there, and it's actually off the buck a little bit here. But before we get into that, I'm going to get onto this front piece. It's been scribed to the front structural piece for that the windshield sits on. We'll roll this side, basically do what we did here over there, and create that piece. And I think I'll just do it instead of talking. After rolling this flange, you see the curvature we have here versus here, so we have to stretch this out. Okay, it's not bad. A little bit of pressure up. We have a bit of a dish happening here. Yeah, oil can. There. And the reason for that is we rolled this over and that's kind of trapped some material. So we're gonna have to work that sheet metal so that we restore that curvature. The shape of the panel is very nice. Let's go throw it up on the car, see how it looks, and move on to that rear sail panel on the driver's side. Okay. It's gonna snap in to the buck. Just came off the buck. So we'll need some vice grips on here just to hold it, clamp that edge over there, and well, I guess we can use these guys. Line things up here. What I'll probably end up doing is joining these two pieces together. That helps support things a little better than they are. See, it is sitting up in the air a little bit, which is fine at the moment. We will work this in and that'll settle down. We should get something across the center. Join that up, that'll help. Meanwhile, I do have the driver's side sail panel, so we will fit this and that'll complete the back edge of the roof. Little things. Okay, so I trimmed up the driver's side sail panel and I'm just rolling some more flanges. It's a flange kind of day. Oop, back up. Try to get the track as close as possible on the Sharpie. We can make corrections, but it's a little bit tricky after the fact. If you can nail it the first time, that's when to do it. Now, before we roll this radius up too high, this flange up too high, I'm going to go to the kick shrinker, stretcher, and stretch this, and that way when it rolls up, it'll lay right into place. Just break it. And we'll roll that over a softer dolly. I don't want this to be too sharp at the face. That's the beginnings. Got the brake here for the glass area and for the scoop. And this mates up with the quarter panel. There'll be a flange that comes up from the quarter and picks this up. Just easing into it very carefully. Don't want to go too much, too far. Okay, and now just roll it out. Get rid of those little bite marks. That's it. You see how it's rolling up the wrong way? As soon as you take and roll that down, it'll take care of everything. And now we just have this one. We can do that over a dolly in the vise. See how that crease is softening up? Okay, just almost there. A couple little hammer marks, or dolly marks I should say. But let's go fit this. Actually it sits this way. And see how that looks. I'm thinking we're going to have to stretch this out again. Every time you roll a flange around a curve, you either have to shrink or stretch. Okay, that is a bit high up here around the window. I figured that. But wouldn't you know, this area around the scoop isn't fitting too bad. We can manually stretch that out a little bit like that, and that tail will get rid of this little thing here, and we'll join this up with the sail panel afterwards. We gotta make sure all this fits in well. And except for a little bump here, I'll put them in a mark. So we've got the two sail panels, except for the bottom side done. We've got the front just about there, the back panel, we get the center in, and then we could perhaps scribe and get some screws into everything. I think that sounds good. Sits there by itself. We don't need that. What we can do is roll that up and put a screw through this little tab to hold to the quarter panel. Alright guys, so I've got that center section formed up and the panels pinned together. Now it's not sitting exactly where it needs to yet. There's still a bit of work involved, but as you can see, the back sail panel area is really coming together quite nicely. The radiuses up in the top corners are flowing in with that rear piece. So our next step is going to be to get these quarters on and mate those sail panel tops to the quarters, at least align them to the quarters, and form up this rear section. These flanges will have to be tightened up, so we'll get in with a hammer and dolly, smooth all that out. This upper piece needs to be reinforced to a pillar, and all that excess material between the two has to be scribed, trimmed away, and worked in so it's one continuous surface from front to back. Same thing through here. Cut it off on the diagonal and work all that in. Let's get on to this side here. So you see the top there comes down quite nicely. This has to be sitting over and down. This panel's in the way. Got a little tab bent up here, so that'll come down. You can see how that's coming in to the quarter panel. Now the quarter panel will have a flange that rolls up and picks this up. So we'll have a small weld all the way along and finalizes all that. I mentioned last time we gotta tip this, have it come back a bit of more of an angle. But as you can see, the top is coming in very well. We have a small concavity here. We noticed that earlier. This has to be brought up, brought in. I put a few tacks across the front just to hold things. That's blending up not too badly. So we're gonna leave it off at this point here. Next time, we'll get into those quarter panels and this rear taillight area. Get these panels formed up. It's one thing to wheel them up, that's not too bad, but now to detail them and have them come in to all the panels, the surrounding panels, that's gonna take a few minutes. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, helps us out a lot. Until next time, take care.